iReader definitely has character. Although they take inspiration, we'll call it, from other manufacturers, they do build their items from the ground up in-house, and they actually white label out to other businesses. They are hesitant to add English or any other languages on their devices, but after years of steady and high quality releases of products, people don't really seem to care. The iReader Ocean 2 is in the studio here today. This unit has a lot going for it: 300 ppi e-ink Carta 1200 screen, Android operating system, onboard audio, and a staggering 128 gigs onboard storage, making it the highest storage of any ebook reader to date. It's 3.5 millimeters thin and only 170 grams. It runs a myriad of formats, everything from EPUB to Mobi, and even DJVU. 5 different audio formats can also be utilized to use this as a music player. So let's dive into the latest release by iReader, starting with the UI. The UI is tabbed in 3 different sections. You have your main books, you have the store experience down in the middle. Fun fact, iReader actually supplies their own store to different companies like Hanvon, Hisense, FaceNote, and others. Most, if not all, the content here is going to be Chinese because this is a Chinese-only device. You can sideload in your own things, which we'll show you in a little bit. You also have the settings menu here where you have different kinds of apps like your text, your music, and your images, and you have some things down below like WeChat integration, File Explorer, etc. Swiping the top down, you have all of your information. This is where you're going to have your light modes, your audio level, your Bluetooth, your Wi-Fi, and system-wide refresh. Although the UI is 99% Chinese, and as of the date of this upload you can't change the language, there is some English on the back end for testing purposes if you go to settings. So you have speaker, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi tester, EPD, which is basically the electronic paper display, just to let you know all the colors and contrasts are working fine, waveform, which is the touch controller, the version, and the light, and you can just do some mild testing here. So there is some English here, but not enough to get you by on the main screen. If you do, however, have any sort of issue, you can simply open up something with AR like Google Lens. If you do so, you can just hover your finger over, press OK, and it's going to translate everything for you like so. It's actually not too bad. A lot of people say you don't need this much storage, but think about it for a second. Almost no devices outside of the now defunct Boyu P6 and the Bigme Carve Color really have SD cards. This doesn't either, but it does have something those other guys don't for the most part, and that is 128 gigs of onboard storage. Even the highest Amazon models and the highest Kobo models barely crest above 32 gigs. This has 128 gigabytes, and that can't be understated. Also, because this is simulating and I guess it is inspired by the Oasis, you get that one-hand command, which is really nice because that means you can press up and down with one hand and read the book. This is also running Carta 1200, which means it's very fast, way better contrast improvements, and it's 30% faster page turns, and it cuts down on staining, so there's a lot of benefits there. As it stands, the stock reading app, everything you do is going to be in Chinese only, of course. If you tap on something, you're just going to have to deal with the fact that it's Chinese. It is not to say that it'll be Chinese forever. Lots of companies recently have been adopting and have been open to the fact that they'll have different languages on board. So it's just a matter of time, especially iReader being as big as they are. We feel it's just a matter of time for sure.
Frisked into the sitting room. And was now standing there, perfectly winded. There is the saucepan that the grill was in.
Couple of things. It has TTS and it has onboard audio, which is really good. But what's bad is that they actually just get a Chinese guy to try to speak English. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. It would be the same thing as if I were to try to speak Cantonese or Mandarin. It wouldn't sound as good. What I would have liked to see is them use an English person trying to speak the respective language of the actual content. And it knows what language it is because it's reading it as is. Because it actually uses utilizes the internet in order to pull the TTS from different sources. So there's not really any excuse other than the fact that they use their own in-house guy to speak Chinese with an English-Chinese accent. We're not going to say that 7 inches is an ideal screen size for PDFs, because it's not, but it's much better than 6 or 6.8, not as good as 10.3. But this is not actually that bad. It's pretty quick as well, whether you use the physical buttons or you just speed through it with your fingertips, which is actually surprisingly quick, and it actually tracks how many times you've swiped it. It does play catch up, but it does actually keep an accurate count, which is a very nice thing. We've seen paperwhites up until the 3rd generation that weren't able to even start PDFs. So granted, a lot has changed since then, but this is a very good experience. You can't really alter the speed mode, although the stock speed mode is pretty quick, and you do go into this kind of faux A2 mode when you're pinching and zooming. It dissolves the overall appearance of the PDF itself and when you're moving it around, but other than that, it stays in the HD mode as long as possible unless you're actually communicating with it. You do have pinch and zoom, and you do have long press on things as well. Of course, you do have some sort of translations English to Chinese, but everything else, all the elements, are not going to be in English. Although PDFs might be a little bit on the small side, Manga is not. Manga looks great. This is just a very, very good package. Yes, anything you put in here will be your own language. If you have Spanish manga, if you have Chinese manga, if you have French manga, it's all going to be whatever the file format you put on here, because this has a lot of file format support. This thing looks so good. Look at that resolution. Look at that quality, even after you zoom in and it renders. Although you don't have to zoom in, 7 inches is a perfect screen size for digital content like manga, graphic novels, etc. This is a very good experience. It's very crisp. It formats itself quite well too, all things considered. Side-loaded content a lot of the time is hit or miss because it's not meant to be formatted to every single thing you put on it. For example, when you put these kind of things on smartphones that are very long, it starts to get a little bit squirrely. There's big black bars everywhere, but this one's handling it actually quite nicely. In terms of a reading device outside of books, I would say Manga is definitely next in line. iReader has always kind of had audio on a lot of their units, and this is no slouch. It is a very high quality sound. The TTS might be a little bit weird, but in terms of quality, in terms of the actual volume, the bassiness, how rich it sounds very good. And this can be taken advantage of because it has its own music player app that has a myriad of formats. You can put 5 different music formats on here and play right off the unit. I hope you're not worried too much about the blue glow light because they have you covered with a ton of LEDs and a warm light as well. You can go down to kind of a little bit of a candle light. You can mix it into the middle and make it a little bit of a stone gray, or you can keep it as intense as you want, however you want. You also have some different preset modes: outdoor, night, indoor, or custom, or just turn the glow light off entirely. It is a very good distribution. Other than selectable languages, this e-reader is absolutely fantastic. Objectively speaking, this has every single ingredient you would ever need on an ebook reader. It's fast, it runs many formats, it's built extremely well, and it's open with a file explorer and an Android operating system. The final piece of iReader's puzzle is indeed to add language options. But until then, you can enjoy this niche little product from one of the biggest companies in the e-reader world. For GoodyReader.com, this is Peter.